Hello there, internet land. All right. Looks like we got like one person on. So I'm going to really enjoy doing this. I don't know how many people are going to show up. If people do show up, it would be great if you popped into chat and said hi. So do something like, hey, Mr. Brown. You can do that. So this is an educational stream today. We're going to be discussing the following schedule of learning. We're going to do some broadcasting. I teach multimedia. So in terms of our multimedia studies, I'm going to talk about some video production stuff in terms of broadcasting and broadcast media. Our next piece is going to be animation. And the other thing that I teach at Brooks Composite High School, so a big shout out to the school that I'm from, is game programming and computer science. So for anybody that's going to see this video, hopefully you're going to take something away from it. I'm going to enjoy doing it. I'm feeling pretty good about it. We are going to be playing some Civilization 6 to showcase some of these things. But for right now, what I'm getting started with is the ability to broadcast, and that's why you're looking at my setup right now. So lots of streamers don't showcase their setup. They actually don't want you to see these screens, mainly because this one on this side here says, I make lots of money. So if they say, I'm making lots of money, that's going to be something that's very interesting. They don't want you to know how much money they make or how much money they don't make. That's another thing too. I wouldn't want that. I know I'm a little bit shadowed with my webcam too. This is not a professional stream by any means. My audio is also like a headset, not some beautiful streaming mic with a pop filter. But those are things that we're looking at investing to in our school. So hopefully we can get some of those things. I noticed that my microphone's a little bit high. Let's turn that down a bit for viewers at home. So in terms of broadcasting, and like I said, you don't get to see the back end of a lot of particular streams. And part of the reason you don't see it, like I said, is the monetization factor. The other thing is there's a lot of settings, and I've actually got my settings blacked out here in terms of the schedule of learning over top of it. So strategic layouts, that's a big thing. So the software that I'm using, as you can see, is called OBS, or Open Broadcasting Software. It's software that I've used in the past to stream, and it's really easy to use. I really like it because you can set up certain things. So right here, it showcases that we've got particular images or webcams or screens. So right here, it's showcasing I have a schedule, I got a webcam, I got a screen, and I got another screen set up. And right now that screen is a second monitor. So how do we broadcast? Well, you're going to need YouTube or Twitch or a streaming service. I've used YouTube before, so I prefer YouTube streaming. If Twitch wants to pick me up because I'm just that good of an online virtual teacher, that's going to be wonderful. But if not, well, I know how to use YouTube quite well. I've streamed on their platform in the past, and it hooks up very well to OBS. So you're going to need a streaming recorder. You can use YouTube Studio directly. I haven't been able to play with their new setup before. You had to have some kind of streaming software. In this circumstance, OBS, I just love it. It's a great streaming software. You can do recording on it as well, so that's kind of a neat platform. I also like the fact that I can set up different scenes, and I can set up different sources. So the source thing is a big thing for me. So that's a good one. Hey, hi, hello, welcome, welcome, welcome. There's some people like this. So for those of you that missed the beginning, we're talking a little bit about how do we stream. Lots of people actually don't know how we actually get started with streaming, so I'm showcasing some of the wonderful stream stuff that you can do. You can do this at home. It's a pretty easy setup. So how do you broadcast? YouTube account or Twitch account, and some software like OBS. Pretty easy to set up. Like, honestly, if I can figure it out, anyone can figure it out. It's not too difficult. A lot of streaming platforms too showcase some of their information of how to get things going. Just follow instructions. It's pretty straightforward that way. So as you can see, I've got my YouTube Studio set up. So the showcases behind the scenes here is actually I have stream health showing. This is something I'm interested in. So in this circumstance, I really, really want to make sure that we have the optimum. Sorry, there's just a Discord thing going on. There's actually like people on Discord. That's pretty awesome. Hello, hello. I like the anonymity. so that's good. You can also, you know, we'll change things to real names as we get going, so I know what students show up and what students or who is public. It's nice to broadcast for the public as well. This is completely public, so if anyone is randomly showing up, welcome. Welcome to Brooks, Alberta. Second piece of this puzzle is what equipment do you need? And the beautiful thing for a small setup like mine is you need a headset. And mainly that's just to make sure that any sound that's coming out, so when I start playing Civilization, any sound that comes from the game isn't being broadcast into your microphone. You can control that pretty easily with some better equipment, but for a basic setup, a simple headset is nice. A webcam is great because you should be talking to your audience. That's a big thing. If you actually look at any guides to streaming and monetizing your stream, a lot of them say webcam because they want to know that there's a person on the other end. So making sure that you are actually a person, not some robot playing a game. You are a person. A webcam is nice. The other big thing is things like overlays. My overlay is obviously just trash, but I like the fact I have the webcam set up and I have the schedule of learning set up so that you do know that I'm actually going over some stuff for my students, because this is a virtual teaching course or class or place, whatever you want to call it. But in this circumstance too, it'd be nice to dress this up a bit, mainly just in terms of creating brand. I'm going to talk a lot about that in my next session so that we can talk a little bit of marketing, because I also teach advertising and marketing at Brooks Composite High School. What other equipment do you need? 2 monitor setup is nice. So having a deuce monitor setup is a beautiful thing, and that's just so that if you have something that you're going to be streaming mainly, such as a game, it can show up on another screen, and you can have your kind of stream set up on another screen, so you have your controls, you can showcase stuff. So like I can turn off and on, so boom, hey look, there's Civ. Boom, I'm back. So those are just things that you can do nicely as long as you have something on a dual monitor setup. So why is broadcasting something you should know? It's everywhere. In terms of broadcasting, especially because of the global pandemic with COVID, we've had to realistically jump into more of a streaming platform, more of a virtual communication platform. And if you know how to do this, you can set yourself up for kind of a nice entrepreneurship scenario where you can create your own business, you can sell your product, you can sell yourself if you're doing interviewing. It's a great way to build portfolio. It's a great way to instruct. So that's a big thing, is that you can do all of these things with very simple tools. And that's one thing I really believe in terms of teaching. For if there's any teachers that randomly jumped on this stream, this is something that lots of teachers should be getting into, because could you imagine that we could teach a lot of our options courses virtually through this if there was an opportunity? We can broadcast certain media events at our school. There's just a lot of things that can happen through stream that can't be done in other places, and it's because I have control over different layouts. I can do multitasking very easily, and so that's a big thing. So hello to everybody who's just joined. It's wonderful to see you guys. Thank you so much. This is by far the most viewers I've ever had on a stream, so a whole 11 people. Love it. But a lot of it too is, yeah, we'll get gaming more often. This one I just was utilizing an opportunity to, my first topic is to show people how to actually stream. So those that actually want to do this on their own time, or for something where maybe you've got a project and you want to go to your teacher and say, hey, can I actually just do this on stream? It takes a lot of courage, because like I said, this is public, and if anyone looks up virtual education right now, this might come up on their YouTube. So it's a very interesting time, and it's a really good time to get into this type of technology and understanding how it works. So one of the last things you need, and it's something I should bring up with equipment, is a very good internet connection. So I'm a pretty thankful to Shaw Communications. So if there's anyone in Shaw Communications that's listening and wants to sponsor my stream in the future, thank you, Shaw. So that's a beautiful thing. I love Shaw. So yay. Okay. Show me the sponsorship. No? Okay. So in that scenario, you need a really stable internet connection. You need a solid internet connection. I'm very fortunate. I'm actually running this through Wi-Fi, and that's pretty wonderful that I'm actually able to send a great stream. So that's pretty cool in that circumstance. Um, so that's all I'm going to talk about for broadcasting. And the reason for that, that's 15 minutes that people are like, hey, I thought you said you were going to do some gaming. Well, I'm going to play some Civ 6. The reason I'm starting a Civilization is A, it's a turn-based game, so it's easy to follow. The other piece is the animation, and some of the programming pieces are things that I have done in the past, so I can discuss them in a little bit more detail than people are used to. The other piece of the puzzle is it's something that I knew would be school friendly. So it's a circumstance where this is definitely got some actual history in it. If anyone says it doesn't, Civ developers do, Firaxis developers do a ton of research in terms of what they put forth, and they've actually made changes to specific races and civilizations within their game because someone has called them on some research that they have done that was not good information. So, two things there. History is real. And the other thing is that you have to make sure you check your sources. All right, so I'll show you how easy this is. Boom. So I've already got a Civ going. The Civilization game takes a little while to ramp up. I am going to turn on my desktop audio so you guys can enjoy the wonderful sounds of Civ when I switch over to it. So hopefully you're going to enjoy this just as much as I'm going to enjoy playing it, because you should get what I'm really hoping with this stream is that people get a good appreciation of how educational games can be. The other piece is the effort and how much attention to detail game developers need to take in order to create a wonderful virtual experience. All right, there you go. You get some nice drums going on. So I am Mapucha. I've got a lot of the DLC for Civ 6. It's a game that I've enjoyed playing kind of in my spare time, alongside a lot of other games. So where this stream is going to go, so for those few people that are hanging out and wanting to enhance this wonderful experience or bring more people to it, I'm looking to do a poll. There is a Discord in the description, so make sure you're joining the Discord so we can create a poll. I'll be adjusting roles and stuff when I get off stream here so that people can actually do a little bit more than just type some stuff in. So I will definitely be taking some suggestions for games to play. Yeah, a game like Valorant. Yeah, we'll see what I can do. League is definitely on my radar for a game to play, mainly to showcase what it is and the education stuff behind it. So I'm pretty excited to showcase that. I have quite an extensive game library, both sad and amazing, depending on your perspective. So in those circumstances, make sure that you answer the poll, because as we go forward too, if this becomes a nice regular event as we approach into school, there might be opportunities where something like League of Legends, maybe we create student custom games.
Dancer said.
So that would be pretty wonderful if we did that. So, all right. This is a neat thing. I really wish this had happened on stream. It happened right before I went live. Is a volcano erupted, and one of the nice things with the newest Civilization expansion is the natural disasters such as volcanoes and flooding. I built by a volcano because I'm brave and I wanted to do something silly. I was very fortunate. I had no units in here, so none of my units got destroyed. But this type of interaction in terms of Civ, this happened all the time. So in terms of animation, how do video games use animation? Well, let's zoom in on this volcano. So right there, this is a looping play of a volcano erupting. So realistically, the program said, go, and then what happened? It went. It exploded. So in that circumstance, it exploded, and now it's just going to continually play this animation over and over again. So this would be built into some game file somewhere. To create something like this is actually very complicated, because part of it is the fact that you are animating on top of an existing texture. So this object, and that's something that's really big in game programming, is this object, because this is a tile right here, it's a hexagonal tile, that's what Civ does, has this volcano object. And this volcano object has some properties inside of it. It's like when to explode, what do I do when I explode. Those are big things in the programming side. So the animation team needs to really work very tightly with your development team to understand, okay, what do you want this object to do? How does this object look? So when I create my art for my volcano, what do you want the volcano to do in terms of eruption? So it's interesting, and you can tell it's a looped animation because when you see it, you can see right here. So watch this. This same lava flow just happened not long ago, and it goes in the same spot, and then eventually, just like this one, it will disappear and restart. So this is again an animation loop. So that's gonna be awesome. Hey, bet you're about to lose to an Iron 4 player. I'm playing Civ. How can I lose to anyone in anything? So I'm really looking forward to taking a look at Valorant too. So those that do play Valorant, let me know how it is. Mr. Brown, do you play Ark? I have not. I have friends that played it. I think it's interesting. It might be something that I'd pick up to stream. It's a survival game, so there's lots of stuff in there. It'd be fun to do something a little less turn-basedy, a little more interactive for you guys. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking for the next Friday's experience to be a little more showcasey of my terrible gaming abilities these days. So I used to play quite well. I've played competitive gaming since I was about 12 years old, and I'm a very old person now. So we'll see. So we'll see what happens. All right. So let's pick some research. Now this is a big thing too. So as you can see, in terms of animation, what needs to happen is a UI experience. And now this is something we don't talk a lot about in our course in any way, shape, or form, but we definitely should be talking about some of these things in our advanced streams. So we need to really be discussing UI design. So this is beautiful, is the fact that when it comes up, you've got that scroll in from the side. I really like that. And then with the technology tree, you've got good things and it scrolls back in. That's an animation. That's something that someone had to actually build in. As you can see, I've got the basics for my technology. What I really love about Civ's technology tree is it actually showcases that STEM understanding of how society advanced. So going into the industrial era, going into those particular things, these eras, they actually do a very good job of providing particular pieces that came along at particular points in an era. So that's pretty exciting from a developer standpoint. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, stream for technology. For 100, Alex. Which one should I do? First person to type in, that's what I click. And I'm on a stream delay, so I can wait. Stare at you guys. Oh, come on. There's 9 people here. Someone's got to be able to pick something. You guys are typing in chat. I can see it. Ah, so this tells me that not a lot of people play Civilization. Really good game. Really relaxing game. In terms of it, I would like to pick Masonry, but it's 22 turns away, so... Yasuo? Okay, I like the fact that you guys are talking about something completely different. I also do appreciate Yasuo, although I'm very bad at Yasuo. Although Yasuo support was one of my favorite things to do. Alright, let's do some writing. In terms of our warrior here, he was doing some scouting, so let's keep him going. And let's keep him going, let's get them going so we can see that there's someone up here. We've discovered either civilization, yep, so we've met Macedonia. And this is something that I was really hoping would happen while I was on stream, is the fact that you can see this is all 3D animation. And this is incredibly well done 3D animation. This would take a very long time just for this one scene to have this one character, especially with facial expressions. I can't zoom in on this stuff, but in terms of how do video games use animation, this is a huge thing. Massive, massive thing in the fact that the attention to detail in games with their animation is just absolutely wonderful and builds a lot of the experience. So I like to play a lot of RPG games. Divinity is one of them that I'd like to do the second one. I haven't started it, so show how story relates to gaming. That's a huge component. But one of the biggest things is in terms of character interaction, and this is all animation. So if anyone is interested in doing 3D animation, you can be part of a game development team that does these things. And so you can see the detail on his lip as he moves, details on the eyebrows, and notice there's all these fine curves. As he flexes his arms, his muscles raise. Those are very, very, very specific things that if those aren't happening, humans pick up on it. We see these things, and if it's not something that we enjoy, we actually don't connect as well to the game. And that's what's really interesting about a lot of indie games that are coming out. Because a lot of indie games, that's a big flaw in them, is they don't have the big art budgets, so they can't do some of those stuff. The other piece of it is they'll do like pixel art or cartoon, and you'll notice that lots of indie games, that's what they're going to do, is actually do that. Like, how easy was it to make Minecraft? The art, very easy. It's actually all voxel based is what it's called, so it's all programmed. That's what makes Minecraft very impressive, is everything is actually generated through programming. And so the art stuff, pretty easy. You just have to know how to program it. The other piece of it, though, it's incredibly complicated because a voxel is actually not very easy to work with. So the original Minecraft developer is actually a pretty smart dude. They've kind of, because of the base code is there, they're just extending it now, and yay, they made it RTX, I guess, so yay, whatever. In terms of up down for internet, like my up is 25 and my down is 600. Down doesn't mean much in terms of a stream. Up is the biggest thing. So if you've got a really slow up, most base internet packages run with about a 5 meg up. Not going to be able to stream very well. So apparently 25 up is doing pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed with how 25 up is doing. So definitely honored to meet him. So because that popped up, we got to talk about something completely different. But I really wanted to showcase the animations on the characters, because right now even an idle animation is just so crucial. So those that are doing Unity game development, you would notice that it's something like, it's so challenging just even to do something like this. And so that's why game animation is incredibly important. So I really encourage those doing animation, like you've got a huge role in how media is going to work for the future. So that's why I really promote my animation class right now. So those that are really interested in animation, that's how do video games use animation? That's a big piece of that puzzle. So how would I create an animation for the game? 3 products can be used. I was going to say 1. Blender is a big one, but 3. There's different 3. Blender is quite good. Open source, free. Maya is Autodesk. It's one of the standards in 3ds Max, so 3ds Studio. So 3D Studio Max is 3ds Max, and it's quite good as well. I haven't used 3ds Max. I have used Maya and I have used Blender. They work very similarly. And I'd have to say Maya is easier. I like the art tools a little bit better in Maya. It's been around, well, Blender's been around a really long time now too. I find Blender is kind of like Windows and Linux, right? Windows, easy to use, you kind of get what you get. You use the tools you use and that's it. Linux, you got this base package that's not too difficult to use, but if you really want to get into doing things, something like Blender is a little more complicated. There's a ton of tutorials out there, but what I find with Blender too is because it's so customizable, so many artists just, they change the UI, they put things in different spots, they don't tell you where half of that stuff came from, and so when you're learning from them, sometimes it's a little more challenging than it really needs to be. So that's a big thing there. All right. in like 15 minutes, I've finished like 2 turns. So
Without craftsmanship,
we finished a Civic.
Is a mere reed ship.
So I don't change any of my policies when I play Civ 6, so I guess this is a neat thing. I don't have to teach all the time. But in terms of my Civ 6ing, I use these same 2 for quite a long time until I get to change my government. A lot of it is, especially at the higher difficulties, I don't play super high difficulties. This isn't like Deity or anything where I'm, you know, some uber gamer that knows how to do strategy games. I'm pretty good, but I'm nowhere near that. But these 2 combats, because in higher difficulties barbarians are jerks, so I want to make sure that I can fight them off very easily, and I like my production base. This one is actually pretty powerful in terms of gathering faith early if you want to do a faith victory. If you also are a lot better at scouting, you can use this. If you're very good at micromanaging your civics, things that are extra production for specific era units are actually quite powerful as well. So there's some Civ for you. Civ knowledge. Another piece is in terms of the social side. So this is where the history piece comes in very handy, is the fact that it showcases how governments transformed and how societies transformed in kind of group ways. Things like trade, things like workforces, and then are you militaristic society? There's different pieces for it. I am a very military type civilization, so I'm going to focus on the military side. So I just promoted my slinger, and again, notice there's a quick flash in terms of animation. Just captures your attention. That volcano's still running, so very intense game programming going on there. My warrior is stuck down because I've discovered the coast. I'm not going to go down here. This is all tundra. There's very few things. I'm actually going to send them over that way. So this is exactly why I picked Civ. Nice and slow. It gives me a chance to talk to my audience a little bit. That's a big thing in streaming. I know I'm not going to have a huge audience. I hope I see there's a few people still here, and that's great. Again, a lot of this is a recording, and a lot of this is to showcase that streaming and education go hand in hand, and also games and education go hand in hand. This is a big push. We'd like to get an esports team at Brooks Compton High School. This is to showcase that doing some education while we're playing games is a big deal. There's a lot of interesting facts and a lot of pieces to this puzzle. Yeah, I like the archer. Coastal city. So part of the reason I want this one is it's far enough away from the tundra. I'm going to get good resources. I'm going to get the luxury resource such as coffee. This is also horses I'm going to pick up. So this is a decent settling spot. I'm really bad at picking where to go. This one might actually be a little bit better. It does have a little bit more. I probably can get the horses from there. I should be able to actually. Okay, and I know there's no barbarians, so I'm going to make a call on it that way. I'm going to fortify my city because I don't have walls right now, so if there is a barbarian attack or another civilization comes from this area, then I'm defended. So I always make mistakes about not getting archery early. You should always get archery early. Alright. Cruising right along here. The only thing is this isn't an online paced game. I should have made a new game with an online pacing. It goes a lot faster. So notice there isn't anything that we can do. Everyone's scouting. We've got our warrior way up here. He's discovered a city-state. So we know that this is something where it's not an actual civilization, but they can contribute. They're just a city. Monaco is a good example of a city-state in today's era. Look at your science and technology teacher pulling out some social. That's right. So this is where streamers would start making random comments and start acting like very interesting individuals just to make sure that people are still watching them. I guess I could do that. I can throw random comments. I haven't seen Ninja in a long time. He fell off the face of the earth when he went over to Mixer, so that's pretty interesting to me how one decision really changed the face of the stream game. I don't actually like a lot of the big streamers aren't. You don't hear much from them these days. I'm not big into wonder building, so I'm going to stay away from the Great Bath. There are civilizations that like to build wonders. Okay, so in this scenario, you're probably going, well, this is getting a little boring. All right, let's spice it up a little bit. Let's move on to it. We got game programming next, and this is my favorite one. This is just where I'm really learning how to get a setup going here, because this would be something where I'd like to, on say my other screen, which is my kind of studio monitoring place, I would have a coding environment so I could like flip back and forth between what the game is doing and a little bit of code. I don't have that set up today. So that's just something I'm thinking of in the future. But for this one, we can talk through it and what kind of coding statements we would use. In particular, I focus on the C# language. So that's my forte. Monument for loyalty. Loyalty is a new thing in the newer Civ, so that's pretty nice. So in terms of the first thing I've got scheduled for game programming is how would you program movement, and we could talk even just basic map movement here, and the fact that right now notice that when I hit the edge of the screen it doesn't do anything, but when I actually click and drag there's an input event that's been triggered. And so the engine behind the scenes, what's reacting to the code or the input, because a lot of these systems, they'll have your input controller, you'll have an output controller, and then you'll have all of your game control stuff. So those are kind of your three pillars of working within a video game. So with this one, the input is obviously the mouse is part of the input. Well, how do I know that? Because, well, it's a mouse control game, so that's where we've got the mouse. But when I click, now the mouse will drag with it. So notice the mouse does move a little bit. That's actually very interesting because most games should be held, but they have it drag a little bit. I think part of it is so that you know exactly where you're going, so that's kind of neat. But now, as I move up, it actually drags it down. And the reason I don't know if that's an inverted control or if that's the basics. I like inverted controls. So what it looks like is that I'm pushing the page up, right? So like I'm moving to the bottom of the page, pulling it up, and then moving around. So it's like I'm interacting with a real map, and I really appreciate that from input perspective. So in terms of movement, this is map movement. And so what I'm doing here is actually moving a camera. So above this, sitting above this map, there would be a camera. And so the camera, I'm just pulling it around and moving it. So that camera is something I have complete control over with the game engine. So what happens with most games is they're broadcasting to this camera. The camera is noticing all of these things happening, and that's the output engine now kicking in, saying, okay, what's on screen and how do you want me to look? So in that output engine, there's the UI overlay. So notice that the UI stays still. So that's one layer that's in front. And then it's got the camera, and the camera sits above. And then underneath the camera is your game field. So notice I can zoom the camera in, zoom the camera out. I can move the camera around, and it stays focused. So the camera itself here is slightly isometric, so it's got a little bit of a tilt on it. A true isometric game would be something like Diablo. Those are things where the camera is on a very specific location, and it's 3D. Well, and it was a beautiful thing because isometric viewpoints for earlier Diablo games created 3D when there really wasn't true 3D yet. So that was kind of neat. Just based on viewpoints and shadows, because the camera was just put in a unique location. You weren't first person where the camera is the player, and it wasn't a third person where the camera is behind the player, or a strategy game like this where the camera is above a field. It was something where they actually took third person and said, hey, let's move it over and tilt it down, and now based on lighting effects we can do crazy stuff. So that's pretty cool. We're gonna crush some barbarians here right away. So we'll showcase some player movement there. So in that terms of movement, so this is the input event. So what I've done is I've said, okay, I've right clicked, that's an input. How do I control the movement? I move them. And so what's happened now and why this is interesting is because Civilization, this is a beautiful thing for Civ, is they've documented that move, right? The game knows that that's a move I'm going to make. I don't have to go make that move next turn. So when I click next turn, right? So there's behind the scenes. Well, they've decided to attack these silly barbarians. That's actually a big advancement for me. So now, unit needs orders. Scout it up. Send them over this way. You can also note it showcases how long I'm going to do. So because they attacked, it broke the queue. It broke that actual directional queue that I had. So now I have to redo it. So now I'm going to re-attack them. And I win! Mr. Bond is victorious against a small barbarian horde. Yeah, it's pretty exciting for me. So in this scenario, in terms of movement, how do you code that? Well, a lot of it is now there's a movement queue. And so as you can see, if I can get closer, hopefully you guys can see underneath here. I don't have the grid turned on because the grid I find very distracting when I play. As you can see the grid. And so this grid is a coordinate. And based on my movement queue, which would be, if people know programming, that would be maybe a data array. It would be an array. It could be a vector for those that are C++ies. It could be a list or a dictionary for those that are C Sharpies. I believe this game is in C++, and I believe it's a vector actually. I could easily could be mistaken. Well, it could be some kind of object custom created piece. So I'd have to talk to Firaxis. Maybe if there's some random person that knows a developer at Firaxis, or if randomly someone Googles this stream and you can see, hey, you're talking about gaming and programming and you don't know what you're talking about. Here's the actual answer. That'd be wonderful. Maybe someone will do that. I don't know. So, but in terms of it, there is a movement queue, and that's why I do like Civ, is you can showcase that the use and power of arrays and those data structures. And I do teach a course on data structures. So each piece with being a coordinate is you can log the coordinates. It's going to be like, okay, this particular object, this unit, if I want to move him this many hexes, so if I want to move him way out here, that's going to take 5 turns to get out there. How do I know? Well, it tells me. So there's a little bit of an algorithm that tells me how long it's going to take for something to get out there. And then from there, it logs the movement queue. So that object now, inside this object, and that's the beauty of object-oriented programming. So if there's anyone going into object-oriented programming, that's my intermediate and advanced studies, is you need to understand that this is an object, this is a piece, right? It can contain information, and it's holding that information saying, okay, in the next 5 turns, I know exactly where I want to go. So it has an array of those 5 turns. Can I change that array? You bet I can. So right now, because I've got it selected, I can change it to over here. But I want to make sure he goes that way. So we'll promote him probably next term anyway. All right. So reach out to chat here for those wonderful 6 concurrent viewers that are still here. If there's anyone still there, you can ask any questions as we're going, and I will answer most things. So feel free to answer anything ridiculous or ask anything ridiculous. This is kind of an AMA type style too. I really just wanted to do the stream mainly for our students. I know there's a lot of gamers out there. You guys deserve something like this, something that showcases that games are a very positive thing in this time, and we need to really take advantage of them. The other piece is there's a lot of learning behind games, and I really want to showcase to a lot of the people that can make decisions that games can be such a positive piece, both for culture and for learning and for your community. So we need to make sure that we aren't, or I guess we are, promoting this. So maybe I should have wrote a script for this bad boy. I don't know. I feel like I'm having fun. So right now, not much going on. We have a town that's not making enough food. So I can kind of see why. Anytime you get tundra tiles don't really produce a lot of food. We can maximize our food production. So that's something, just to make sure our population is going up. So right now our population is stagnated. So we don't want to ignore food. Let's see what our tiles look like. We'll do a purchase a tile. Okay. A lot of good production on this, maybe a little extra food. So let's see what our citizens are working. So 2 food. Yeah, like this is a tough one just because of where it's located. There's not a lot of food, but I don't want to. I want to be able to work this tile. I want to build a mine here when I have enough money to get a builder, and I do. So I should be doing that right now. This one is good because it's got luxury users, and I'll probably send them over here to get this luxury users for this city. And with this last build, I might go get. Oh, I can't get the spices yet. I have to do irrigation as research. So.
Writing is easy.
Maybe in time too, we can make this a beautiful studio. I can put a big green screen up. We can have like a big BCHS buff run across the screen. That can be my big subscriber thing that pops up if we decide to Twitchify this. So when there's a new subscriber, we can have like a buffalo run across the screen. How many hours I got in this game? Oh boy. Okay, now I have to look. I would show you my Steam library, but it's quite full of a lot of stuff. 158 hours I have played Civilization 6. This particular game, not very many. This game, not many at all. So yeah, I like Civilization. It's a great relaxing game. Uh-oh, new barbarian. See, and this is what happens all the time at higher difficulty, and it happens more frequent at really high difficulties, and I can't stand it. It drives me nuts. It is about that. What about a flying pig? Oh, I got the flying pig. I gotta get it now. I gotta get it ready. There you go. Whee! So Blender. So this is all made in Blender. Flying pig. I took a reference model. If anyone knows Elephant Gerald and Piggy, I made this for my daughter. So Piggy is pretty wonderful. I wish it was a GIF though. I should have made it into a GIF because then it can loop. But Blender can actually do that through an add-on. It's quite nice. I really like it. So there's a flying pig. I can do that. Yeah, no, like I said, I'm learning lots about Blender these days. I'm really hoping to make something for a friend of ours. Actually, it's Mrs. Higgins' son. My wife takes care of him, and he loves Paw Patrol, so I'm hoping to do some stuff there. Without breaking copyright, right? Because teachers, we don't break copyright ever. Man, you got me sidetracked. I gotta pick some research here, and I need irrigation, so I need those spices. I like that luxury resource. Very interestingly, my Civ experience, even though as many hours that I've done this, I never really focused on luxury resources until I got into higher difficulties. And people get really unhappy real fast in higher difficulties. So if you don't have luxury resources, you lose happiness and people get pretty upset. Not good. Not good at all. So, again, this would be somewhere where I probably should be changing these things. I don't have horses, so this is one I know for military victories it's maneuver. If you can't see it, this one is actually really good for cavalry, especially now that barbarians are less. I should be switching to something like this, but I don't have spearmen, so anti-cavalry and ranged units. I guess that would give me archers a little bit faster, but I don't need them. This one would be cavalry, but I don't have horses yet, so yeah, that'll be a thing. Scout annoys me. I don't like the fact that that's there. Foreign trade. We have a couple things. I'm usually big into trade. I love the trading game. Let's send this guy up here. It's gonna take a while to get there because it's a tundra, but that's okay. Let's go get salt. Mr. Brown is gonna be salty soon. Haha. See, I told you this would be an edutainment experience. All right. Next educational point because I'd like to get through them, and then we can just sit around, have a good old chat time, and focus on gameplay. But the biggest thing is I like to get through this stuff is how is a strategy game programmed. Strategy games are very complex, and part of the reason they're really complex is because there's a lot of objects. When you got lots of objects in play, you got a lot of things to manage. The load time for just this Civ game, it's a bigger map, so that takes a little bit of time. But the load time in this scenario is quite long. Like it took, but like I had to boot it up before stream because even I have a pretty decent PC, and it takes a little bit of time for that to boot. So there showcases how complex some of these things can get. Right? There's so many objects, so it takes a long time to load. Once all those objects are established, it's not as bad. So in the background, the game engine. So we talked about the output. Donations, yeah, absolutely. Should start up a Patreon and stuff. That's definitely something I need to do. Funding. I actually, one of the things I would like to do, probably, yeah, maybe into May, maybe in June, what I'd really like to do is do a stream for grad and do a gaming thing for grad. Just maybe get some resources, maybe do a scholarship that's linked to technology from the funding. I would love to do something for our grads. Our grad class this year is very special to me. Not that all the students are. I love actually really getting to know a lot of the grade 10s and grade 11s in our group a little bit more, and they're wonderful people, so shout out to you guys. But the grade 12s are near and dear to my heart because I started at Brooks Composite High School at the same time they came over from the junior high. So they're pretty near and dear to me, so I'd like to do something special for them. I have to plan that out and figure out how that's going to work, but definitely a huge shout out to you guys. Miss you guys. You guys are wonderful. This is a scenario where like I need like to have like a Wilf. Oh, I could do that too. Instead of the buffalo running across, I could have the Wilf video. Could do that. That'd be fun. Science. Do I want to do science? I want to focus on military. Don't really. Well, yeah, no, we're gonna want some research here. Yeah, and that's the thing with the volcano close by. Yeah. So might have to adjust my strategy here. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't really have a very large military anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay, so this is a fun thing that happens too, is their borders expanded as my unit got out here. So that's not good for him. So he's stuck there until I can do anything with sea stuff, or go to war with this city-state. They would just get killed anyway. So I'm gonna promote him. And he's probably going to hang out there until I decide to do anything. Yay, thanks Alexander, you're wonderful. Go away. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, so the unit moved, so their borders are still open, so I'm gonna walk through there. So that's good. Whew. Scared. So used to the later game where borders are locked down and you can't do anything. So back to our discussion, I kind of got sidetracked there. In terms of strategy game programming. Strategy game programming, like I said, is very complex. So we talked about the input piece, we talked about the output piece, and now the game engine piece. So the game engine piece is a bunch of objects and classes and functions that basically tell the game what to do and how to do it. And as you can tell, there's a lot of different things that are going on here. So like with this object, this salt mine, let's just even showcase something right on the salt mine here. That salt mine for this era. And so that's a really neat thing with civilization, is that these buildings change over time. So that object is created so it knows it's built in this era, so it would do a check. What era am I in? Okay, this is the type of artwork that I display when I'm built. That almost happens instantaneously, and we'll see it when my builder gets to the spice piece. So hopefully, yeah, I should have irrigation before they get there. So this building will change over time, and the animations that are a piece of it, like that's incredible. That takes a lot of work, and that's just one object. That's one piece of this puzzle. So in terms of the game engine now, they have to keep track of those pieces. So now they're keeping track of every single piece. So this building, that building, these trees, this coffee bean plantation tells me I need to get some coffee. The horse is over here. Like all of these pieces are objects that are now a piece of this game engine puzzle. And right now they're static. That's the nice thing, is they're just hanging out. But most games, and what they'll do for game engine stuff, especially with the C# language, and I know this is a Unity thing, is what they'll do is they have events. So what they're doing with events is they're showcasing stuff. So if you're hearing blink, 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 that's people trying to talk to me behind the background so they can... I'm playing Civ, teaching through Civilization here. So in this scenario, this is listening. So this is just hanging out saying, okay, I'll wait until something happens. Once you're ready to talk to me, go right ahead. And so when something goes and talks to them, now something else happens, and that's where functions and all the functionality of objects occurs. So it's a pretty important piece of game programming in general, but it's very huge in strategy games of things that are just idle, waiting for you to do something like resources. So if you think of other games like StarCraft, where you've got your resource mechanics, where you have to build up gas and other specific things, when you're looking at those things, what you're seeing is an object waiting to be interacted with. And so a strategy game needs to keep an eye on all these objects. And so the game engine will continually check, loop through as the game loop is running, all of these objects working. And you'll notice, especially if you've played a more modern strategy game on a garbage computer, a toaster, for example, you will notice that the game seems fine when you start, but the game slows down as you go. And that's because now what's moving in and out of memory, what's processing, what's having to move through that game loop, there's just too much going on. The computer just can't handle all of these things moving in and out of the loop. And so all of these things would then be it would be stuck into your RAM, or there might be a page file. Maybe there's some kind of memory manipulation that happens, which would be pretty smart development if that were to be happening. Is the fact that like objects very far off screen, these are things that don't need to be rendered. That's also like Fog of War and Map. Like these things under here, these things don't need to be rendered right now. Now, I have to talk to someone for access to see if they've actually rendered underneath their Fog of War. So basically, when the map spins up, they actually have everything going, and the Fog of War is just there as one of those things to kind of have that realism of you haven't explored there, so you need to actually explore there to take that away. And lots of strategy games have that. They like to kind of shrink down your line of sight. So things that are fogged here, they like to shrink down your line of sight for that realism thing of you can't actually see this. Okay, production. Let's build a granary for some food. Well, see, granary is a smart thing here over what the advisor was saying, because this area is tough for food. So we want to make sure that we build a granary for some food for them. Let's do some fortification there. I really need to get my masonry going. Okay, I want to move my archers out for these guys to support them. This is an interesting thing with Civ 2, is that while my turn is over, I'm still able to kind of semi-occur. Ah, this volcano! Look at this volcano going off again. So it's not the mega catastrophic eruption happened before, but definitely lost another citizen.
Every nation lives by exchanging.
Early Empire. Okay. So as you can see, the volcano eruption didn't kill my archers, but they're very obviously not full health anymore. So not cool, volcano. Not cool. Trading, again, trading is huge for me. The issue with trade is there's a lot of barbarians around here. Silly barbarians. Okay, let's move Him back one. Build terrain, so I don't know. Let's put some archers in their way.
إركيني وسخلوجو مداهين إلمي أردنجا حاجة جنموني.
Alright, a mandatory. Man, the amount of bad mouthing people do in this game, it's ridiculous.
The man who has grit enough to bring about the...
Alright, so that's perfect. I got my irrigation done. Masonry is huge. Walls are just super important. I'm going to fortify that so we decide to attack. Shaka Zulu. So this is an interesting game. So in terms of the way that this game is right now, because Shaka, I'm Mapuche, and then we've got I'm an Tori is who carried. Well, she's tough early game with her art. She's got a special archery unit early. But Alexander, we've got 3 military societies. So we got 3. That's going to be very interesting because there could be a lot of destruction going on either earlier or later. Higher difficulties, things happen a lot earlier. Late game is a struggle to get to. Usually there isn't a lot of civilizations left by the time we get there. So everyone plays nice off the start. There's some violence. Look at that. I'm not happy about that. I haven't played League in such a long time, so question in chat, who do I main in League? I haven't played League in such a long time that I wouldn't even have a clue who I would main these days. I like playing really weird champions. I love the support role, but I like playing really weird champions in support. I played Aatrox support before Aatrox support was even remotely considered. I played, I like playing real weird things in support. I mean, it's just fun that way. It just makes the game exciting. All right. So I am going to build an archer, and then what I'll do... Oh, don't quite have enough gold. We'll get there. I would really like a trader. Mainly just because that helps me interact with the other civilizations. The other piece is big gold. Big gold we got, especially Amanatori, the Nubian civilization. Need huge into trading gold. I think that warrior unit's going to get dusted. Not happy about that. Not happy about that at all. So one thing that was introduced in this expansion for civilization is eras, and eras are really interesting. I'll just be going into a normal era, it looks like. So I need to. So I'm avoiding a dark era, and dark eras give you some penalties. So it's just telling you, hey, you aren't playing at a level of which this game difficulty is saying that you need to be doing. You need to pick up your crap. So at some point we'll do that. But hopefully I hit normal eras most of the time. So looks like Shaka's got this. It's kind of tightened up here. So it looks like hopefully we're on a large island continent and there isn't a lot of stuff happening over here. We'll see. We'll see what's happening. So last point on this as we move into the hour point of the stream is how can you make your own game? And making your own game is really difficult. There's indie studios. I know you hear stories of like 3-person development team that makes this wonderful product and it's a super cool indie game. Those are 3 incredibly talented people if they're doing that, both in the terms of programming but also artwork. I've built small games. I've built a little whack-a-mole type game, and I've made a prototype for a much larger game. And it's really hard. Like, it takes a lot of time, even just to make simple things. And it's because of those three controllers, especially even if you're working in a game engine. I love Unity 3D, so plug out to Unity 3D. So hey, another sponsor, Unity. Hey, look at me. I want to do streaming and I teach, so I would like to do some stuff with you. Give me sponsor. Yay. No, probably. Okay. So Unity 3D is the game engine I've worked with for a really long time. I have conversations with students about the versions that I've used, and they go, yeah, that's really old. I'm like, yep. I've worked with Unity since Unity 3. I actually discovered Unity when it was Unity 2. So I've worked with Unity for a really long time, and I've seen a lot of growth with it, which makes me excited. But a game engine is a lot more accessible. You don't have to build all the back-end functions. A lot of things are there, and you just script. And so your programming is still important, and you still need to understand things like objects. You need to understand how things interact. You got to understand physics. You have to understand how to make the animations work. But you don't have to actually program how to make the game use those things. You can actually start just working with objects. So if you know object-oriented programming, you can really use a current game engine very well. Unreal Game Engine is quite good as well. I've used it. I like physical scripting. To get into the C++, do the C++ scripting for Unreal, it's a huge time commitment, and I just wasn't into it. I like C# as well. There's some little nuances to the language that I enjoy, so that's a big thing. Oh, there you go. Stream dropped, stream picked up. Look at us go. Hit that 1 hour mark, things fall off. Well, that was probably when I was talking about Unity, and they're like, oh boy, he's looking for money. You got to cut him off. Yeah, no, funding for schools right now would be real nice. So in that scenario, yeah, Unity's just one of the better game engines. So how can you make your own game is through a game engine. There's a lot of products out there now. Like, you could do a lot of research and find a lot of different things. I've tried things like Construct. I've tried Impact.js. Phaser.js is a neat little library for web games. Well, I say web games, but they're web games, I think. Like, they're JavaScript type games. They're not. There's a lot of things holding that type of engine back. There's Love. That's a Lua game engine. There's a ton. Python has numerous amounts of little libraries and stuff that can get tapped into it. So realistically, when it comes down to game engines, that's something that you have to make the choice of. Pick a language that you like. Lua, again, if you've never heard of Lua, why would you pick up Love? If you know a ton of Python, why would you pick up Unreal? It's those types of things that you have to really consider. Is where's your skill set? You're going to need team. Like I said, I made a prototype. I did everything on my own. I did artwork, music, everything. I worked for months, and I got like one level of a game done. And it was a lot of work. And when you look at the way things, especially apps, it was a mobile game as well. So when you take a look at apps and mobile games, those things, the money behind them is small. You need to have millions of users on a mobile game to even consider making money. So if you're just like, oh, I'm just going to make the next big game and I'll be loaded, it doesn't happen often. The biggest thing is getting part of studios, getting part of developing studios is the biggest one. Not just like game development studios, but like studios that are growing. That way you can build up skill sets, you can ship some titles, and then you can move on to bigger fish or start your own. You'll make some relationships so that you can have art people. The bigger thing too is broadening your skill set. So not just programming, but artwork. Like I said, I did all the art and sound, so I learned lots. Like now I've gained a breadth of skills. You're gonna have to do more than one job if you're doing indie studio work. So that's a big thing. This warrior here, what are we gonna do with him? Let's hide him in the forest. It's probably not going to work, but that's okay. So there's all the talking points. So we've hit that hour mark, and I've went over our entire schedule of learning. If there's any piece of that
This
schedule
governor
learning
will
that
be
you
a
had missed
powerful
that
and
you want to go back
productive
to. A,
asset
you can watch
when
the
assigned to one of
replay.
our cities.
B, the other
I
piece of the
suggest we
puzzle that
choose a
you can
candidate
do
as soon as
is
possible.
ask in chat right now. So if you want to know more about broadcasting, if you want to know more about animation or game programming, those are my 3 topics of the day.
Giuseppe XI said.
So that's going to be awesome. So I keep hearing things back on my Discord. I keep hearing things on little messages. So that's awesome. That just means people are communicating. I'm going to focus on you, my stream, because that's what I'm doing right now. So hopefully people have enjoyed things. Hopefully you found things educational and informative. Again, unscripted, as you can tell. I went off in multiple tangents. I like the tangents. Ooh, hey, block the light. You kind of see me over there. There you go. I am the bearded teacher. I am Mr. Brown at Brooks Composite High School, and I'm going to continue playing some Civilization. So there's the educational component. I will talk some Civ as we keep going. I will answer questions. We're going to keep the stream up probably for another maybe 20 minutes or so. I really appreciate people jumping in. I know that it's not a lot, and I really hope there's some public out there, but for those that are from Brooks Comp, thank you so much for supporting me and this little adventure. Hopefully we can showcase something like this to the people who make some decisions to show that gaming does have a place in an educational facility, because there's a lot to learn from it and there's a ton that goes into it, and we need to appreciate this art form that is video games. So hopefully you enjoyed the educational content. Now on to the Civilization. That's going to be a wonderful piece. So at this point in time, another piece of the expansion that came out is governors. I'm terrible with governors. I played a lot of Civ 6. A lot of those massive hours that I've put in came before all these systems came in, so I'm really bad with governors. I don't know which ones are the best ones to pick. In terms of the way that I run, I always like to pick Liang because she's is with the surveyor. She's part of the things that can make money and goes into tourism. I like doing culture victories. So the civilization I have is not probably set up to do a culture victory, so it's probably not the best. The diplomat is wonderful later on. You absolutely actually have to have her later on. Financer for the money is kind of nice. Not going to work well with the civ that I have right now. If you're going for a science victory, you want the educator. The steward is quite good as well.
6 Arclight Horizons said.
So that'll be a nice thing. So in terms of the way that I'm running, I don't know. Let's do the military, dude. Let's put him in my capital.
Look back over the past,
Build some
with its
loyalty there.
changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too.
So this is a good time to change some of these things. I usually change to gold for my trade routes. I don't have a lot of I have no trade routes happening right now, so that's not going to be the best one. I have no navy, so usually I switch to something like maritime industries for military policy there as well. Because I have a barbarian tribe really close, I'm just going to keep this. Some of these things too is you can change some of these policies later on. If you so choose, you don't have to wait. I like to wait. Maybe that's a silly thing, but I probably don't need. This one is a nice thing to have early on. I just didn't get it quick enough to get your settlers faster, so you can actually build out a little bit quicker. I don't think my civ is meant to build out very fast, so I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna keep what I got. Again, I'd like to change more when I get new government. So new government's gonna be a big deal. All right, so we're gonna get these archers involved. Where's that friendly tribe? Oh man, looks like Shaka got it first. That guy, I tell ya, gets it every time. Let's see, say workforce. Government Plaza is a nice district. Really helps with certain things. I'm gonna not focus on wonders. So for this one, I'm gonna get my trader. It is barbarians chasing me down. I'm not happy with that. Fools! I can shoot you. I'm keeping an eye on chat, so make sure you guys you can ask questions by all means. Anything goes. School questions obviously more appropriate, but we can do a little AMA. Okay. I'll upgrade that soon. This place definitely is grinding in. A lot of this, again, these are things that if I were a better Civ player, I would have micromanaged this, and I would not have gone this way. I would have made sure that my auto tiling was going out towards the horses and the coffee, not to the copper. So, bad, Mr. Brown. Okay, how can we fix that? All right. We can buy tiles, which is nice. It is going to the coffee, so that's good. My name in League, you'll find out when we do League. Woohoo ha ha. Man, people are you're gonna know who I am. I don't play League as nearly as often as I did. I'm very happy that League does not track my hours, because holy macaroni. I played a lot. Was on the cusp of platinum. Okay. I don't like this barbarian there, because then that tells me that there might be a camp somewhere in here. Okay, can I get this dude down here? Probably not at some point, but we'll see what we can do. Yeah, because there's a trade route that I need to make here, and I need to explore this area, otherwise it can't actually do anything. So, let's just chill out to sleep for now. Not happy about that, but it's a tough go. It's a tough game, this game. Oh man, lost my warrior.
Each of us is carving us a strong economy.
Okay, bronze working great. Yeah, not focusing on naval stuff in any way, shape, or form. Definitely gonna rush political philosophy, so that's gonna be good. I'm already in a position I can promote, so that's really good. I don't use the military guides often, so I have to actually read some of these things. That's why I read in school, folks, so you can read stuff in video games. So, units defending within the city's territory get +5 combat strength. Your other cities within 9 tiles gain 4 retreat. That's okay. City cannot be put under siege. Community strategy resources in the city gain additional +1 per turn. Interesting. That's interesting for later. I'm going to go with the garrison commander because I think that'll be really interesting. So we'll go from there. Okay with that. Ooh, tough decision here. Do I promote? Actually, yeah, I'm going to promote because otherwise I'm going to get wiped out.
7
Tough
girls
decisions.
were chased by bears.
Ooh, natural wonder.
The bears were just about to catch them.
Like it,
when
like
the
it.
girls jumped on a low rock. One of the girls prayed to the rock. Rock, take pity on it.
Like it a lot. Okay. Just reading some stuff. We got some stuff. I'll be checking Discord later, so we'll see what happens there. That'll be wonderful. All right, back at her. Okay. not a lot happening right now. Oop. Alexander has declared a war on something. Oh, it's the grievance system. So this is another new system. This is something that's pretty cool in terms of how the game's progressed. Is there's a little more in terms of world diplomacy. So it's kind of neat. Okay, government plaza definitely a good idea. Ooh, I like that. Location is susceptible to flooding. Of course, we're going to put our government where it can flood. Nobody likes politicians anyway. Okay, our warrior. He's going to move in. Let's get him on there. My single archer. Good job, buddy. Check him out. Love it. Great work. Okay, next steps. Now this is going to be a wild goose chase because they went around the other way, so... archer unit, let's move them out. 232. I need to get a builder going because I got a lot of resources I need to acquire. So the Mercury over here for extra luxury. This would be nice as a bonus resource for food, especially for this city because it was having food issues before. So I am going to get a builder. Notice the costs go up. Inflation, right? Can't beat it. Can't beat inflation. Not even in video games. Okay. I am going to keep pumping out some military units. So I really have to, I really want the encampment, so bronze working is something I really need to get going here. We're going to run him back to the city because I wish that way. Get him in the city. Right on, we're going to get him chasing him as well. Nice. So, continent view, we've got a little bit of continent going on, so that's nice. You guys can't see the lenses, you can't see what I'm doing. I cover up two things I covered up, and this is where overlay, you have to think about how overlay works with your stream, is I decided that I'm going to cover up the mini map, which is underneath this piece. It's over, you can't see it, way over here. And the other piece is my webcam covers up the next turn button. So, things that I didn't think you needed to see. So there you go, good streaming practices. Yeah, I need some artwork here. I need some good stuff around my webcam. I need to put some stuff around here, so that'll be big. Okay, all right. Well, I think we've hit a good point in our stream. I'm gonna play for a little bit longer. If you have any questions, type in the chat. But we're gonna shut her down here soon. It's been a wonderful time. I've actually really enjoyed this. I was a little nervous, to be honest, for a stream, but I think it's something that I'm definitely going to continue to do. I'm really hoping to work on my wonderful catchphrases and being able to talk off the cuff like I can do in class. I think for me, I have to really think about what I'm saying and who my audience is. Part of it too is there's a little bit of a delay, so when chat reacts to something, that's not super live. And part of that is probably just the way the stream is set up, and maybe that's something a YouTube thing. I'll have to work on it. I'll play with it. I'll get it all set up. I'll make it perfect. I'll make it wonderful. Like I said, I'm giving a shout out to Twitch. Maybe they'll look me up and be like, "Oh, hey, teacher in COVID. Let's get him going." I've shout out to Shock Cable, so maybe maybe I got sponsors, right? Unity Game Engine, lots of different things. So for Axis, I've thrown this and I've showcased their game. So maybe I'd be a community content creator for them now. Who knows? Who knows? Big things can happen for Brooks Comsted High School and our wonderful technology programs. So apparently an unmet city-state got conquered. So we're into the classical era. So I am just in a normal age. I don't get any benefits. I get minor benefits. I shouldn't say I don't get any. Dedications are something that happens. Ooh, shock! I got a golden age. Golden age gives you huge benefits. Like if you actually make sure that you manage things really well. In lower difficulties, I found it very easy to hit golden age, and actually that made the game speed up really fast. And to be honest, that's where I started jumping difficulties, just because that wasn't fun. I could do things just way too quickly. So this is nice. Dedications are neat because they give you little bonuses. So if you know how you're going to be playing, you can kind of forecast that. So people who are culture focused, something like this one, you get inspirations, you get era scores that helps you keep your golden age or get a new golden age or get a golden age, and it helps you avoid dark age. So +1 era score for where we are right now. This isn't a bad one, but I have no faith, so this one is useless. And Eureka's, this one isn't bad. Before I went into this panel, what I should have done is look at things that are like, okay, how can I get inspirations? How can I get Eureka's really easily? So that it is. Do you have any recommendations how to make your recordings quality much better? Like my recording or like the recordings for the school? Like, are we talking like picture quality, or are we talking like the entertainment value? Because I feel like the entertainment value is super high. Like, come on. Some of it is dependent on just stream in general. So like this stream, if it's not very high, if I'm only really running at 720p, that is just an internet cap out. Again, a setting that I probably didn't actually do because, oops, my first time streaming on YouTube in a long time. Twitch also actually is their streaming service is a little bit better while they're a lot bigger. YouTube's pretty good, but streaming is not their big thing. In terms of like, for like gaming recording quality, big thing is what are you recording with? That's a huge thing. Like OBS is a great thing because you can set so many fine little knobs in terms of recording for your games. So that's a huge thing, is whatever you're recording with. That's a big one. So like just basic screen capture things aren't that great. Streaming software is actually really good from a recording perspective. Usually there's built-in things, and you can change bit rates and change some knobs. Like I know from OBS's settings perspective. So like right now, base canvas resolution, like output right now, yeah. So I'm only outputting at 720p, I believe, based on my settings. So in terms of it, we can flip over here. So there's the settings. Showcase that in the middle of the screen. So you would want to play with some of these things. So things like output. So right now there's my streaming, but there's recording. Your recording format is something that will matter. So quality here is the same as the stream. So same as stream. So this scaled resolution is going to be something I would like to change because of this is going to be what's going to be broadcast. That'll be something big. There are add-ons and plugins to this too that I have to make sure they go through. Like I said, I haven't used this version of it in a long time too. It's using DirectX 3D11, so that's a good codec. No, it's looking not bad. So these would be things and then like downscale filters. So things that are filtering, these would be things that you call FPS. So if your computer is not up to snuff, and it will actually slow things down, and one way it can do that is through quality. So do you need really high specs for PC just to record game footage? No. Like the biggest thing is it depends if you want 4K video, yeah, because you need a video card that can output in 4K. But if you're looking to do some basic 1080p game recording, no, you don't need a lot. You don't need a lot. My PC right now, I could easily record 1080p footage and put it up. And I'm running an i7, like 5th. It's older, so it's a older gen. i7 is nice for hyperthreading and video production, so that's good. But I'm only running a 1070, so GTX 1070 is my video card. Great for 1080p gaming, and it would be something that RAM would be a big thing, making sure you got a lot of RAM for rendering and all that render time for video, because it has to like go through frame by frame and capture all that stuff. So CPU and RAM is very, very big. So hopefully that answers people's questions. Which one? Which one am I gonna do? I'm gonna go with Monumentality. I think that's the wrong choice. I don't agree with that, but I'm gonna run with this Barbarian's Toast. One thing I can also recommend for streaming is making sure you drink lots of water beforehand, because I don't know. I should start watching more streamers actually stream, because do they like drink water bottles on stream and stuff? Because I feel like ugh, I'm gonna lose my voice here. I'm not gonna have any voice for my weekend. Craziness, absolute craziness. Okay. Yeah, see, this right here tells me I'm behind. Like, just as someone who's played a lot of Civilization, just the fact of the types of units that I can and cannot build, I can tell you right now I'm really behind. And a lot of it is I've had that persistent Barbarian threat. Still gotta go deal with that camp. So this game is either going to end very poorly for me, or I'm going to have to really hope that none of these civs up here, they start trying to kill each other off, or battling the city-states, etc., because otherwise I'm going to be in big trouble. So hopefully I can get through there. That's the main city. It's under barbarian attack. Let's just go with a warrior. So this is a nice thing. I can promote. I don't need defense logistics, so here I can get the embrasure. That's nice. I can't even do a city range strike yet. I don't have walls, so this is useless to me. So at this point, the smart thing to do is now appoint another governor. So this would be something where I can easily pick up another governor. The era that we're in, Magnus would be a nice thing to start to pick up. So I'm gonna set him up. We're gonna move him. This one is the biggest. Loyalty is a big one right now too. They're in a good spot, so get them going.
Steam hisses from the ground here, rising in swirling clouds. This is a geothermal fissure.
Geothermal fissure? Well, someone found something somewhere. Advisors are great, but I really wish that they would showcase that. So, alright, this warrior's going to chase. I'm going to move up to those borders. They might go scout with them. We'll see. Alright, builder. So notice, also too, like, I have the capability of building special tiles. So this is for culture. Good for loyalty. Not something for my victory condition. So these things don't really need. That's something with Mapuche. If you don't win early with military, he has the capability of carrying forth into a culture victory. So that would be something to think of. I'm gonna get that food first. Need to move him off the food at some point. Okay, what are we at? Oh, we've almost said I'm gonna get to that one and a half hour mark.
I'm also interested in creating
You guys are wonderful.
a legacy.
Thank you so much for everyone
Because
sticking around.
will last for thousands.
I feel like I got my webcam set up perfectly now. This is nice. It's a little bit shadowed so you guys can't see my ugly mug, but realistically the nice thing is you can see my beard. The beard shows up nice, so that's good. Okay. So wheel is something I could easily do. This one is going to be one that I can turn into very quickly. Let's just do the wheel for now, because this one will give you chariots quick. Watermill is going to be actually huge. And here, actually, where were you guys? Where was Chad on this one? Because in this scenario, wheel would have been something to pick up early. And the reason for that is because you'll notice I have a city on a river. And I have a city on a river. I've got 2, and this one actually probably would count as a city on a river. So I've got 3 river cities. Having that water mill, I don't have food problems. So that would have been something that I should have jumped on a long time ago. They're going to fortify. So we've got iron. Oh, So this is nice. This is again lower difficulty level, so I'm definitely playing noob mode. I got lots of iron in this area, and that's going to be a massive benefit for me going forward. So I'll be able to advance very quickly. So that's going to save me actually. I think that's, even though I can't, because these civilizations, I'm kind of in a, looks like a little nook in the bottom of a continent. That's going to be real nice for me because they have a long way to travel, and by the time they can mobilize an army to get down here, if they were wanting to take me over, I would advance to the point, and because I have iron right in my sights, I can actually get that real quick. And I have the builder. I should be having more builders by now, but again, I don't have the gold that I normally do because I usually play a trade thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you guys, you've been wonderful. Stay frosty. Take care out there. It's been an awesome experience streaming with you guys. I've really enjoyed it. It's actually boosted my spirits quite a bit. Again, gaming, huge part of our BCHS community, and let's get that going forward. So you guys start making your voices heard so that we can get this rocking and rolling. I've really enjoyed streaming to you guys. We've covered a lot of real cool things today. So as you can see, we've covered broadcasting, we covered animation, we covered game programming. So that is a 1.5 hour stream from the Science and Technology teacher at Brooks Composite High School. This is Mr. Brown signing off. Take care out there.